everybody, welcome back to another episode of Head Over Heels. It is still me, Maggie, and you guys won't be getting any new hosts anytime soon, so you're gonna have to get used to this for a while. So yes, hello. In our previous episode, I got my partner, boyfriend, man, jantan, whatever you call them these days, on the show, and I say it was rather chaotic, and I didn't expect the episode to turn out the way it did, but it seems like everybody loves it, and I'm pleasantly surprised. So yeah, and very evidently we revealed quite a bit about a relationship, and if I'm going to be completely honest, I actually dreaded doing that episode for the longest time, even though it's one of like the most highly requested one by a lot of our listeners and you guys, because I feel like we should be the last couple that you should come for relationship advice for. That's why I didn't feel like I wanted to do that. But yeah, we were just being ourselves, and I hope you managed to have some takeaway. If not one, not two, maybe at least you got to laugh along with us, okay? Yes, feel free to check it out if you haven't already. But for today's episode, we are going to talk about things that I've learned in my 20s. And to those of you who may be new to this podcast, hello, I am Maggie. I am the host and the creator of this podcast. And we are on Takeaway Table. Are we on Takeaway Table? I always get confused. Yes, Takeaway Table, not Table Talk. Table Talk is the podcast. I am officially I have joined the club Dirty 30 about a week ago, and that's why I'm finally eligible to talk about this here today. So yeah, I don't know how to start this because I feel like there's just so much to unpack, because like nobody really tells you how to be an adult when you're finally an adult, if you think about it. It's almost like as soon as you turn 21 or as soon as you graduate when you're 17, you will know your way around the world, which is not the case. I was completely clueless, naive, innocent, and stupid, very unknowing about a lot of things in life. And for me, right, I think I grew up also very independently for most of my life. I think I've been very open about my upbringing. I grew up from a broken family, which means my parents were never really around. And I lived with my grandmother for most of my early childhood until she passed away when I was 12 years old. And ever since then, I was pretty much on my own. And it was only in my early 20s that I realized that I actually didn't have much guidance, because I realized when it comes to a lot of things, I didn't know what to do. And not to say that it's bad, I just needed to do extra work to figure things out by myself. You know, like I'm okay with what I had. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm totally fine with it. Also, maybe because I didn't know what it's like to have a guidance otherwise, like having someone be there for you, a parent figure, a mentor or whatnot. So a lot of my values and core beliefs really is what I picked up along the way as I grew up and grew older, hopefully wiser. And so today, it's just going to be me sharing with you what I've learned in my past 20-something years of being a human being in this world. Yeah, take it with a pinch of salt, really, guys. I mean, everybody's so different, and my life is going to be completely different from yours. So yeah, we live very different lives. But if there's something that you feel you can apply, feel free to take it, okay? But before that, I want to rewind a little bit, guys. I want to share about that final few moments, moment before I turned 30 officially, like from 11:30 a.m. all the way till 11:59 p.m. Sorry, not a.m., p.m., my bad. It was a little bit dramatic because maybe my period was coming. No, wait, it didn't come. I was on birth control for a reason. I found a cyst in my body again, by the way. Yes, I know, annoying. So yes, the time was 11:30 something p.m. I got into a stupid fight with Joseph that day. This was 25th of March. My birthday was on the 26th of March. Sorry, context. I have to give context. I was extremely emotional for obvious reasons because your girl's turning a year older and I'm just being overly dramatic, okay? So we got into this stupid fight and it got upset. And I locked myself in my guest room with my lights completely off. So it was like pitch dark. And then I started just staring into blank space. I don't know why I did that. I honestly didn't understand my intention then. I was like, did I want to reflect my life for the past 20 years? Or do I want to, reset my intentions for the next 20 years? I don't know. So this is going to be very anticlimactic because I did nothing, guys. I just stared into blank space until the clock struck 12. That's when Joseph came looking for me because he wanted to wish me happy birthday. We were both still upset at each other. But as soon as he turned on the lights, he started laughing because it's like, what the hell are you doing here? And I just looked at him and I said, I didn't say anything. I burst into tears and I said, I don't want to be 30 years old. So it's hilarious and we both started laughing and I spent a good 10 minutes crying. So I think thinking back in retrospect, it was hilarious. I don't know why I cried. I think I was just a little bit overwhelmed and not knowing what to feel like. No one has ever told me what to prepare for. I think it was a very similar emotion when I left my teenage years. I remember when I was 19, about to turn 20, when you're going to lose that teen in your age. I was so overwhelmed. I was like, oh my God, am I an adult officially now? So what's next? But no, nothing really changes. Life goes on just as how it was 5 minutes ago. So yes, but that was fun. It was a little story that I will tell for the rest of my life. So I know when I talked about this on my socials, I got a couple of responses. Not so nice responses. Some people are like, why are you so freaking over dramatic? I think I don't want to downplay my emotions because emotions are there for a reason. We all feel things and that's okay. I don't want to, gaslight myself and kind of just brush off my emotions just because someone tells me that I'm overreacting. So I took time to process why I was so scared about turning 30 years old. I think there was two major points, really. The first thing is that I feel like I'm running out of time. So hear me out, right? For some reason, I feel like the older I get, yes, I'm definitely more grounded in my own values and beliefs. I feel like I'm a lot more confident than I was 10 years ago. But when I think about the time that I have left with my loved ones, or especially my mother, she gave birth to me when she was like 23. So if I'm 30 years old now, how old will she be? And that means how much more time will she have left with me on this earth? And am I spending enough time with her? But I'm so busy. So it's like this cycle of overreacting and worry and just thinking about, oh my God, what can I do? And also because my mother and we don't live together, so to meet her sometimes can be a little bit difficult. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's really me being afraid of not having enough time with my loved ones. Because if you know me personally, you would know that I'm someone who's very afraid of the D word, which is death. I know everybody's going to die eventually. It's a little morbid but every time, I'm sure I'm not the only one. I don't know if you guys have experienced this before. Like when you go to bed, sometimes you toss and turn, you think about a lot of things. And then for some reason, your thought will bring you to the word death. And then when you think about death, what happens next, right? Nothing, right? Like what happens after I die? Then what? Will I be a ghost and I can still see things? Or will I just disappear into nothingness? So that scares me a little bit. Of course, I think I will go to heaven. I will meet Jesus. But, you just never know. It's just this idea of death that just really scares me. So that's one thing. And the second thing really is something that's so ingrained in our society, especially for us women in culture, especially as Asians, that when you reach a certain age that you're no longer quote unquote valuable, you're no longer as beautiful, you're no longer wanted, and you are quote unquote expiring, which is something that I feel strongly against, but it is unfortunately somehow ingrained at the back of my head. Maybe because I grew up with people telling me that, if you don't do this by 30 years old, nobody's going to want you. You better make sure you get married before you turn 30. Otherwise, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. So there is this thought about not being good enough when I grow older. But again, I'm here to hopefully change that narrative. I would like to officially apologize to all the 30-year-olds then when I was in my 20s and my teenage years that I call old. I am very sorry. I am very, very sorry I said that to you because you're not old at all. Now that I'm here, I feel alive. I have never felt better about myself in my entire life. So yes, please accept my apology. And I will continue to say that when I turn 30 and 50. I will not call people old anymore. You're just very wise. Okay. So yeah, I think bottom line is there will always be reasons why we're afraid of something. And when you do, don't downplay it, process it, and understand it. You know, now that I understand why I'm afraid of being old, I realize there's nothing I can do about running out of time. If death one day happens, it will happen, and there's nothing I can do about it. And all I can do is really live the best life that I can live, right? Okay, so here are some things that I learned in my past 20-something years and things that I wish I knew, okay? I'm going to go straight into a couple of things. I actually listed down 30 things because 30 years old, right? But I'm not sure if we have time for that. I think we do. I'm just going to try to go through all of them. And I actually categorized it into different departments of life. The first thing would be life in general. So the first thing that I learned and I wish I knew is nobody gives a f***. Yes, they may have bleeped that out, but let me spell it out for you. Nobody gives a F-U-C-K. People really don't care as much as you think they do. If you forgot your mascara, if you're not really wearing the right dress for the event, nobody's gonna give a shit because everyone's too busy caring for themselves, right? So that's one thing I wish I knew. Nobody cares. Number two, life is boring sometimes. It's not always exciting. It's not gonna be an action movie or romance film 24/7 of your life. There will be days and seasons of your life where you feel like, damn, it's so boring. Hey, somebody give me a life. Feel like I have no life. You know, sometimes life's not like a movie. So get over it, guys. If you're bored, go find something to do because boredom is part of life and that's okay. You can't possibly be productive 24/7 of your life. And if anything, the pandemic has taught us is that rest is productive too. So yeah. And next thing, you won't have it all figured out. So I used to think that I would be married by the time I'm 26. And by the time I hit 26, I realized, I don't want to get married yet. There's so many things I want to do. So maybe 28. And when I'm 28, I'm like, oh no, I'm stuck in a pandemic. I don't want to get married now. I want to do more things when the pandemic ends. And here I am now, still in a pandemic, and still don't have my life figured out yet. Yeah, I know. I think it's just this, what's the word? Misconception that you should have your shit together by the time you hit a certain age, but that's not the case. We are going to continue to be learning things as we grow and as we learn, as we fail, and as we succeed. So I don't think there will be a point of your life where you feel like you have it all figured out, ever. I'm not sure. Even if I feel like, oh yes, I'm very successful today, I still don't know what I want to eat tomorrow. And that's fine, right? So yes, bottom line is I don't have my shit figured out and don't feel bad about it. I'm saying this because I got a lot of DMs from you guys saying that I feel so unaccomplished because I'm about to turn 30. This is my final year in my 20s too. I feel like I haven't accomplished anything yet. I can tell you this. I feel like that all the time. I know it may not seem that way on the outside from your perspective, but I really, really don't have my shit together. And I hope that gives you a little bit of comfort. Okay? And next point. We're only at point number 4, guys. 30 minus 4 is what? 26. I can't believe we have to count that. Yes, 26 more to go. Don't compare yourself. I know we hear this all the time, okay? We still do it no matter how many times people have told us, don't compare yourself. And I wish someone told me. I don't know, Instagram wasn't really a thing in my early 20s. No, it wasn't. Don't compare. So being someone who lives a rather public life, I do share quite a bit of my personal life online. But there's still so much more that I really don't share on social media. Okay, I would like to say I'm quite a open person. When you come, if you do follow me on socials, my Instagram especially, I do open up about a lot of things, but I don't air my dirty laundry. I don't show you the low lights of my life, and I can also tell you this: influencers, KOLs, or whatever you call us these days. I really hate that term because people just simplify us as KOLs, but whatever, I'll have to accept it. They need to keep up a certain image online. It is, when I say they are us, me also, it is their profile, it is their portfolio, it is their bread and butter. So there is this certain expectation that they need, or they feel that they need to fulfill. So if you're going to base off your life on somebody's very properly curated highlight, you are signing up for failure. It's not realistic. So being a influencer myself, I really don't want you to base off your life off what I post on social media, because that is the stupidest thing to do. And I have done that stupid thing before. I have, I think back in the days, we read magazines and stuff. I would read people's story and go, oh my God, she's so successful. She's got everything together. Why am I such a failure? So I wish there was someone there, a big sister, to tell me, girl, don't be stupid. It's not real. But the thing is, I kind of like Instagram these days. I mean, when I say Instagram, the internet these days, you really get to learn quite a lot. Yes, there are stupid people who shit on others, but there are also a lot of great pages and posts that goes around that really teaches you stuff, right? Yeah. Bottom line, please don't compare yourself, guys. And if there's anyone you want to compare to, it is yourself. Be better than, so cliche lah, but so true lah. Just be better than who you were yesterday. If you can't do this particular thing today, do better and try again. And yeah. But of course, if you want to use comparison for good, I think that's cool. Having healthy competition is healthy. But don't compare to the point where it becomes toxic. Okay? And next point. Everyone's on their own timeline. We are all running our own race. And a lot of the times, it's so easy to compare our milestones without any context. Little things like, I think I remember when I was younger, I would say, why all my friends can travel every summer and winter to places I could never afford? We're doing the same thing. Like, they don't even work. How come they can afford all these things when here I am working like a dog and I still cannot afford that? It's just so easy to compare without context, right? The thing is, maybe they didn't have to pay for rent because they've got a family here to support them. Maybe their families can support them and give them extra money, which you don't have, which is me lah. Which is why you shouldn't compare. It goes back to our previous point. I had to make ends meet. All the money that I did earn, 90% goes into bills and paying off shit. So the circumstances here are just completely different. And if I were to really compare myself with their lives, man, I'd be doomed, But yes, not gonna lie, I did compare for a bit and I did feel shitty about it. I did feel like, why can't I do what they do? Why is their life so much better than mine? But there are a lot of things that needs to be taken into consideration and not just compare blindly. So Some people are a little bit more privileged, yes, sure, but that doesn't mean you cannot have what they have. Maybe you just need a bit more time and hard work to get there, right? So yes, everyone's on their own journey. Also, if you think about it, right, let's just compare it to a marathon. Everyone's running their own race. You don't see all the runners running in parallel at the same exact speed and next to each other, right? Like everyone's at different pace. So some are faster, some are not so fast, but they're all winners in their own right. So that's how I see it now, not before. So that's why growing older also means you may get wiser. So get excited for that. Okay, next point. Just try. Even if it's something that you don't think you can do. I never really, how do I put this? I actually never really wanted or like set myself out to be doing what I do today. It is all because I just gave it a try. I think when I was younger, after high school, yes, I think being a host has always been at the back of my head somewhat, but I never really thought of it as something that is possible, like a reality for me. I was told that I should be a doctor or a lawyer instead, something that's more stable. Not to say this is not, it depends on how you do it, right? So I'm doing what I'm doing today because my younger self was curious. I was always curious. I was always eager to try new things. And I thank myself for that. I would much rather regret things that I've done than regretting that I wish I did it. Unless it's murder. No, don't try that. You should regret doing that. But you'll be in jail, so no. Yeah, like things like, do I regret getting drunk as hell and cry because the club wanted to close and I had to leave and go home? I cried. I was drunk as hell. Did I regret that? Yes and no. Would I do it again? Probably so, because I was young and stupid. Yes, I actually did that when I was like 21 years old. And I even drunk down my ex-boyfriend, whom I broke up with at the time, like 6 months already. And I said I want him back. I didn't. I was just drunk and stupid. So that's why I don't drink anymore, because I do stupid shit when I'm drunk. And next thing. How many points have we got? 7th point now. We all make mistakes, guys. It's all part of life. And the most important thing really is don't repeat the same mistake. For me, I didn't want my mistake to define me. I feel like in life, you have to make mistake to learn. You need to do wrong things. You need to fall and to know that you shouldn't fall. Or you need to touch the hot kettle to know that you're not supposed to do that. I think that's really part and parcels of life. And for me, it was definitely my cheating episode when I was 19. I cheated on my boyfriend then, which was stupid. But at the same time, now that I've unpacked it in therapy, I understood why I did that. But I'm not going to talk about it today. We don't have time for that. But would I do it again? No. And I didn't. And I haven't been. It was that one time of mistake. But of course, I cannot speak on behalf of all the chronic serial cheaters out there, which you should definitely run from. But if you have done it before, if you have cheated before, it can eat you up. It really can. Because people are not very forgiving when it comes to things like this, right? You are a cheater once, you're a cheater, you're forever a cheater, but that's not the case for everyone. People change, circumstances change, we learn and we grow. And if you are listening to this and you have this quote unquote dirty little secret that you've been keeping to yourself and you don't know how to open up to your partner, there are 2 ways to go about it, friend. Some people really cannot take things like this. Some people think that cheating is a total deal breaker. And maybe you don't need to tell them. It really depends on how your partner is, really. But if you know that you and your partner have this strong bond and open and honest communication, and you feel like you can trust him with this very dark past of yours, open up. It will change your relationship. It may affect you a little bit because it's never easy to hear that your partner has cheated before. But if you think opening up will relieve you from that burden, go ahead. But if you know your partner isn't that kind, that will be forgiving, it's not his fault too. It is a deal breaker for some people. Then some things are just better kept buried. Process it with your therapist instead or your friends, but don't have to tell. If there's anything I've learned, they don't need to know everything. If there's something that you want to keep for yourself, go ahead. Yeah, I don't know why. I felt like I needed to say that. So, regret is good, but hanging in the past is not. Feeling regret also reflects awareness in the mistakes that you made. But beating yourself up over something that has already happened can really break and destroy you. So instead of living in the past, keep your eyes on the road and think about what's your next step and how you don't want to repeat that mistake. So yes, at the end of the day, we all make mistakes. Moving on. This is on career. Okay. In my early 20s, when I was like 18, I started in the industry when I was 19 years old, right? I joined Miss Universe and then started going to a lot of events, met a lot of people. But because I'm so tall, naturally people would think that I'm of a certain age, maybe 25, right? Even though I was 19. Hopefully now that I'm 30, people still think I'm 25. But yes, back to my point. Being in your early 20s, it's hard to get people to take you seriously. This was what I experienced then. Like every time I started exposing my age, oh, I'm actually 19. Huh? Then their tone kind of changes. And then I realized they don't really take me seriously as they did before they found out my age. So I struggled quite a bit with that when people don't take me seriously. So I decided to be so good at what I do that they cannot ignore me. That was why I told myself. I don't know if it worked. But my point is, age is just a number. I have met all kinds of people in my life now, and I have worked with some of the most talented people that are so young. So to me, age is just a number. Joseph and I right now, every time we work with creatives or people, we don't care about how old they are. We want to work with people who wants to work with us, no matter their age. You can be 40, you can be 19. I don't care. If you're good at what you do, great. Okay? So let your work do the talking. And the right people will see through it. And those who don't, then they're not meant for you. Okay? And the next thing is, it's going to take time, my friend. Things are going to take time. I used to be someone who's very kanchong, and I'm always so anxious and overthinking. Like, oh my God, I've done this. Okay, what's next? What's next? Did I do a good job? Or like, okay, will they promote me because I did one good job? No, sis. You're not going to get miraculously promoted just because you did one good job. That's not how it works. You may not even get the job just because you nailed the interview. Things are going to take time. And it's going to be so uncomfortable because you feel like you're not progressing. You feel like no one's seeing you. When I say see you, it's like notice you. You feel like your talent is gone to waste, or like your hard work is not being noticed. But the thing is, it's going to take time. As long as you're putting in the work, I can promise you this. Someday, somebody will notice it. So just focus on mastering your craft. It took me so long to land my first hosting job. So long. And when I finally did, you know what? Okay, I can tell you guys about this job I got. It was one of my very first hosting gig many years ago when I was, I think 19, 20, I forgot. And it was an annual dinner, I believe. And they hired a comedian at the time, like a stand-up comedian. And I was the host. And at the end of the day, after I finished my job, the client told me, I'm not going to hire you again. You didn't make anyone laugh. And I was like, huh? Make anyone laugh? Why do I have to make people laugh? That's not my job. My job is to host the event. I took it very personally. But in retrospect, I think it was a lot of factors. First things first. If you want me to make your audience laugh, you want me to be funny, you should have told me in the first place. Second of all, I'm not a stand-up comedian. You hired one for that, right? Third of all, I'm not going to work with you again. And I didn't. Because our values didn't align and, But yeah, point is, it's going to take time. Even your first job is not going to be the best job. So be patient and good things will come. And the next point. I've moved on to the next category, that is ourselves, like things I've learned about myself. And I wish I knew earlier is go for therapy, guys, if you can afford. I know therapy is expensive. It really, really is. But I love that mental health is talked about very much now, and it's slowly being normalized in our society, which is awesome. And a lot of people are also offering a very affordable therapy sessions now. So do some research. I'm pretty sure you will find it. Okay, this was really the best investment that I've made for myself when I was 4 years ago. So 26. I only did it. I've always wanted to, but I could never afford it. So I started putting aside money. Started saving up for it, and when I could finally afford it, right, that was the first thing I did. I remember it was my 26th birthday, just a day before. I would never forget that. It was hard at first, but I'm glad I did. So I thank myself for taking that step when I was younger. So yes. And a lot of how we are today and how we are in relationship, how we manage it, have a lot to do with our childhood and our upbringing. And sometimes we need a little bit of help to figure things out, right? So another thing that I think people don't talk about much is finding a therapist, the right therapist, can be quite a journey, by the way. Before I found my current therapist, it's been 4 years now. I've been with her for 4 years. It took me so many rounds of repeating the same life story over and over again. And it's very tiring, mentally draining, because you have to repeat your whole life story to this person who has zero clue about you, but they need to study you, right? So I think I did like 5-6 rounds of that. And every time felt like, no, I didn't have a connection with that. Yeah, you have to have a connection with your therapist. So even if I recommend you mine, doesn't mean you will click with her. And so that's something that you need to keep in mind and be ready for. It's going to take some time before you find the right one. But when you do, it's the best thing in the world. Your therapist will be your best friend. But also, don't be too dependent on your therapist. Really go for therapy, take note, really apply it into your everyday life, because there will be times where your therapist can't just be readily available and you can't have her 24/7 on call for you. So that's why you go to therapy for. You learn these skills, not to depend on them. All right. And another thing that I wish someone told me when I was younger is that your body looks fine. Oh, I need a bit of water. Hold up. Stop trying to fit into that dress that doesn't fit you, my love. If it doesn't fit you, get another size. You wear that dress, not the dress wear you. And what's on that weighing scale is not as important as what's happening inside your body. And on the outside, I think I look very healthy. People will assume that I'm a very active person, but I don't work out 24/7, not even 6 times a week. And sometimes I eat crap food. And I regret that very much. So now I've learned to be more mindful with the food that I take, because it does reflect on your body when you do that body checkup. So I recently found out that I've got another cyst in my body, another ovarian cyst. And in case you guys don't know, I had this ovarian rupture episode in 2020. It was the most painful experience of my life, and I'm very, very traumatized from it. And I only found out about this new cyst that I didn't ask for a month ago. So, yeah. Care about what's going on inside your body first. Don't be too obsessed about fitting into that dress. Okay? People make clothes for a reason, to fit you. So why are we trying so hard to fit into something that doesn't fit us? And please don't starve yourself, because it's not worth it. Like, I remember taking fat burners, just so I can lose weight. I ended up in a hospital, and ever since then, my digestive system is pretty and I regret that very much. So, let me tell you this, if no one's telling you, you are very, so goddamn beautiful, so goddamn handsome. But you need to first believe it yourself. Okay? Next one. Okay, I'm gonna keep this one short. Work out, stay active. It's one thing to love your body. It's another to accept and ignore all the red flags and don't do anything about it, knowing very well that you need to take steps to be healthier. Okay? I hate to say this and be a party pooper, but our body deteriorates after we turn 25. Like it or not, it's just biology. It's just science. So get active, move often, move well so your body can thank you. And if you don't know where to start, come to Motion Lab. Or if you're a lady, join Move with Maggie. We've got free classes every other Saturday. It's Motion Lab MY, by the way. And the next thing is, friend, you are going to change. Your interest is going to change, your body is going to change, and it's called growth. Because the only constant in life is change. How you feel about this basket today may not be the same 10 years later. So if you are not going to be comfortable with change, which was the case for me, your girl over here, I'm so uncomfortable with change. I cannot deal with sudden changes and uncertainties. But you're gonna have to learn to live with change, or your life's gonna be a little hard. But over the years, I've learned that if I don't bend, I'm a break. So if you don't want to break yourself, learn how to bend and flow with the changes. Okay? And this one, yes. Oh my gosh, until today, sometimes I still struggle with this, but even worse when I was younger. You can say no, my love. Don't be a yes man. I spent most of my life being a pushover, a people pleaser, because when I was a child, I was so lack of attention. So I always need attention and want to make people happy. And I honestly hated it. I was always worried about burning bridges and offending people for some reason. Even if that person is like mean to me, like I would still be scared to offend them. I never knew how to say no. I'm always a yes man. And I would feel guilty as hell even after I say yes, because I didn't want to do it. So learning how to say no is not only protecting your space and your energy, you're also learning to draw boundaries. And that's something really that I wish I knew when I was younger. Drawing boundaries. So I've got a story, okay, guys? So there was this one time I went out with some friends. And on our way back, the guy that I met, who was my friend's friend, told us that, hey, let's go for round 2. So all of us were like, sure. And because I drove my own car, he told me to just follow his car. And then I did. Because, it's my friend's friend, so I just didn't think of him as a stranger at the time. Should be trustable, gua. So we ended up at his place. So I actually thought we were going to go to another bar or pub or whatever. So we ended up at his place, and he told me the rest is coming, they're on their way. But they never did. So it was just me and him in his house. And he started doing funny shit on me. He started making moves on me. He tried to kiss me. He tried to put his hands around my waist, which I felt so freaking gross. Because at the time, I think I was only 22, I don't remember. But dude, this man, it's like 15 years older than me. And I don't know if he has kids or married before, but he was like not young lah. Okay, again, I don't want to call people 35 something young, old, but okay, I think he was 40, whatever. He was gross. And I didn't know how to say no, even though he was making all these moves on me. I really wish I did something back then. But my inability to draw boundaries ended making me end up in this very, very uncomfortable situation. And the worst thing was not that. I ended up spending the night because he kept convincing me to stay over, but I didn't want to. Because I was wearing my contact lens, so I told him I don't have my glasses, so I'm not going to be able to drive back tomorrow. But he said, don't worry, I'll buy you one tomorrow. And I ended up sleeping in the guest room because I don't want to sleep with him. Like, what the hell, bro? Like, I don't want to touch you. But it was too late at night and I was a little tired. So I ended up spending the night at his place. And guess what? Because I didn't sleep with him, I think he got upset at me. And the next day, he just left me like that. Like, I had to drive back without my contact lens. I couldn't even see the road. I was so damn pissed. He didn't honor his words for, helping me get my contact lens because I didn't want to sleep with him. What an asshole, right? And that's not the worst thing. This guy is something else, I tell you. If I see him again, I might give him a kick in the balls. I told my friend what happened, and obviously she said sorry and like she didn't know he's like that, blah, blah, blah. And she confronted him, and I saw his text to her. You know what he said? He said, oh, she's so fat. Why would I even want to sleep with her? Completely gaslighting the whole situation. Woo! Thinking back, I'm mad. But at the time, I was broken, man. I was so embarrassed and shocked. But I was grateful that my friend trusted me and, gave him a piece of her mind. But that moment, it really broke my self-esteem because I didn't know how to say no. But I didn't blame myself then because I really didn't know how to say no. So if there's one thing that I think is a very valuable thing to learn is to learn how to say no. Okay? And I hope when time comes, you will have the courage to put your foot on the ground and say the word no and walk away. And next thing. Ooh, we're halfway through, guys. Let's see how much time. Okay, we have got a bit of time. You can be toxic too. When I say you, I mean myself. So I've talked about how my previous relationships were toxic and this and that, but truth is, I could have been toxic myself as well. We all have toxic tendencies. Sometimes our emotions get the better of us. And it's really a matter of acknowledging our roles in a relationship, whether it's with a family member, with a friend, or with your romantic partner. So the next time you say someone is toxic, you need to first think about whether or not you are contributing to the toxicity, because it's not always the other person. Sometimes we could be unconsciously doing it ourselves. So, yeah. I think especially in relationship, the most important thing really is whether or not the both of you can acknowledge and hold yourself and each other accountable about what happened and how you can move forward without that toxicity. Of course, it's not an overnight work. It's gonna take time, like I said, but it's the thought and the effort that counts. If you're with someone who completely brushes off the toxic trait of themselves and say that, oh, you're overthinking, you're too sensitive, you might want to rethink that. Being able to have that conversation about toxicity, telling someone is toxic, is hard because you're telling me I'm toxic. I'm going to be defensive and saying no, like what? No, you are the one who's toxic. So it can get a little bit complicated sometimes. But the most important thing is if you can acknowledge it yourself first, that's good. Because we cannot make someone be accountable when they're not ready to. We cannot change people who don't want to be changed. We can only change ourselves. Again, that's something that I really wished I learned earlier. I only learned this like maybe in the recent years, really. But yeah, you can't change people. Yeah. Moving on. Don't take rejections too personally. Rejections are going to happen in work, in relationship. It's going to happen and it's going to hurt. You will have to loosen up the grip and let it go. And don't take it too personally, because a lot of the times it's not you, it's them. And it's true. Sometimes when you get rejected at work, it's not because you're not good enough. Maybe it's because the slots are full, or they've got a certain quota, or they maybe have changed their mind, and as it doesn't reflect your ability and your skills in the things that you do. Same thing in relationship. When someone doesn't want to be with you, it could be many reasons. I've been rejected many times in my life, and I have also rejected people. There was this one time I dated this guy, he called me lah. And he was doing everything right. He was good looking, he was not bad, he's super sweet, and he ticked all the boxes. But for some reason I just didn't have chemistry with him. So it didn't work out. So yeah, don't take it too personally. So we are moving on to the next segment, that is relationships. So the one thing that I wish I knew, but I guess that's life, you have to learn along the way, is that your partner is not your everything and they cannot meet all your needs, because the only person that can complete you is yourself. I used to seek happiness in relationship and the people that I date. Even though I myself was broken and unhappy, I would continuously, very relentlessly seek for it in relationships after relationships to feel that void inside of me that can never be filled by someone else. So this pressure that I put on myself and my partner just ended up being very toxic and dysfunctional. So what I've learned really is that we are our own person, and we don't need someone to complete us because we are already whole. We are complete. And taking charge and being responsible for your own happiness and joy is important, because when you start taking charge of that, the power is yours and nobody can take that away from you. So that's one thing that I learned. The only way to be happy in a relationship really truly is when you are already happy with yourself. Because then you're going to put unrealistic pressures on your partner. And yeah. And if you listen to our previous episode with Joseph, it is not my role to fix him. And he don't want to be fixed by me. And there's nothing to be fixed. We are all broken in some ways. And yeah, you can't change someone. So the only person that you can change is yourself. And the next point is go and meet people, guys. I mean, you wouldn't know what you like until you've tried something right? You wouldn't know you like a strawberry flavored ice cream until you've tried it, because your whole life you just try chocolate. Correct? Am I right? I don't know. I'm not saying whore yourself out there and make out with any guy or girl you meet, but get to know them, be friends. Have conversations. I don't know what it's like to date during the pandemic or with COVID around, but I think things are slowly opening up. I'm pretty sure the dating scene is flourishing again. I'm not sure. And if it doesn't work out, it's okay. Move on. I dated so much when I was younger, and I don't regret it. Maybe not for everyone, but I'm glad I got to experience different kind of people and different relationships. I've dated men who are like 10, 12 years older than me. I've dated men who are like younger. And yeah, I know what I like very clearly. Yeah. And the next point is also, there's nothing wrong with being single, especially if you're coming close to your end 20s, the end of your 20s. And I hope my partner is not listening to this, but I do wish that I was single for more years before I got into a very long-term relationship. I mean, I wouldn't know it's going to last for 7 years, right? But I did enjoy my time being single and unattached, just doing whatever hell I wanted to. Because, I mean, depends on your own values. You will eventually be in a relationship, married for the rest of your life, or not. It depends. Not everybody wants to get married. But being single is not all that bad. You can date around and have fun, and that's nice, I guess. But of course, I'm okay and I do enjoy being in a stable relationship as well. So, yeah, just want to say it's okay to be single, coming from someone who was single for quite a bit before I met Joseph. Yes, this next point, ladies, please take note. It does go back to our previous point, that is, don't be a yes man. Learn how to say no and set boundaries. This one is equally as important. That is, never not let a guy say no when you want them to wear a condom. Yes. Or bring a condom with you if you're going to be sexually active. Please. Because I know I've had my fair share of meeting men who would tell me that condom makes them uncomfortable, therefore they don't want to wear it. But the thing is, there's such thing called STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. And you don't want to end up panicking about potentially being pregnant when you're not ready to be a mom and not knowing if the guy is going to take responsibility because they just want to have fun with their penis. So consent is very important, ladies. And if he ever says no, even after you very kindly requested for it, he's not the guy for you. And for the gentlemen listening to this, if a woman so very kindly asks you to wear a condom, please oblige. It's her body too. I know you want to have fun, but there are consequences. So, yeah. And the next point really is get yourself checked, especially if you're sexually active. So this is quite a personal story, but I'm okay to share because I think awareness is very important. When I was younger, I remember getting HPV once in my mid-20s. Oh, it was scary. In case you guys don't know, right? HPV is basically a human papilloma virus, which is a very common sexually transmitted disease, STD. And unfortunately, certain strains, apparently there are different strains, can cause cervical cancer. Both men can carry it and women can have it, right? And it's definitely transmitted through sex, like penetrative sex. So ladies, I know sex is fun and all that, but get protected. And I think most importantly, get your partner checked. And that's the one thing I personally practice. Before I have a relationship with somebody, I will request for them to get themselves checked, just to be safe. After this experience, I didn't want to go through that again. So yeah, get yourself checked regularly as well, especially if you change partner all the time. But even if you don't, right, I think it's no harm to get yourself checked regularly. For the ladies, pap smear and your ultrasound. That's how I found out I have got my cyst, by the way. And when you have cysts and you have sex, apparently it has a very high tendency to rupture, especially if you have very rough sex. So just getting yourself checked is important. At least you know what's going on inside your body and you know what to do with it. Okay, guys? And yeah, have fun, but stay safe. Oh, by the way, guys, if you've got any advices you want to share or stories you want to share, please drop it in the comments down below if you're on YouTube, because I don't think you can do that on Spotify. I would love to hear it because, yeah, I will be reading your comments, by the way, and responding to them. So don't be shy. And we are moving on to our next segment, coming close to the last few things. I won't call them advices, but things that I've personally learned, okay? On friendship, yay! Friends are awesome, but sometimes not so much. So what I've learned as well is friends are not forever. And not all your friends will have your back. Some may be jealous, some may not want the best for you. I personally have had my fair share of good and not so great friendships. Some were great while they lasted, I'm not gonna lie. But the thing is, not everyone's gonna have your back. I mean, life's complicated, things change, people change. I mean, you change, I'm gonna change. So when it's time to cut it off, just do it. Friendship is gonna come and go, but the ones that are meant for you will find their way to you. And if there's anything that I've learned too, is that friendship requires effort just as much as romantic relationship. You're going to have to put in effort to make a friendship work, because otherwise it's not going to work itself out. Yeah. The next few things are gonna be like random stuff here and there because I feel like I've lost count of the category. The next thing, I'm on our 23rd point, by the way, is learn a new skill because you never know where it's gonna take you. Although I did tell myself to learn how to rollerblade last lockdown in September, until today I haven't really actually done it properly. I probably did it like 5 times and that's it. I need to follow up with my things. But yes, my point really is my curiosity when I was younger to learn new things was really sparked different passions in my life. Like I'm doing quite a bit of things now. I am hosting, I am also a fitness coach, I'm also running a business. And it's all because I was curious and just wanted to try, right? You never know where it's going to take you. Fitness honestly was not really in my radar, like to be a coach, to open a gym. Hell no. Like if you ask me 5 years, not 5, it's been 3 years. In my early 20s, I would have said, are you crazy? But I took a leap of faith, got myself certified and changed my life forever. So it could be cooking for you. It could be learning how to set up a live stream. It could be drawing. It could be, I don't know, it could be anything. So take up a new skill. And when you're younger, you just have much lesser commitment, more time to do things like that. Go for it. 24th point is so important, friends. Please learn how to file your taxes because once you start working and you start earning salaries, you are going to need to keep your receipts. And not just for the year that you're filing your tax, you have to keep your receipts for the next 7 years just in case they want to, cross-check or whatnot and investigate or like find proof. You need to keep them for 7 freaking years. I know, it's a lot of receipts and it's super annoying. I'm still not great at keeping my receipts. It's still like a bunch of stash of receipts in my file. I'm going to have to sort it out, which reminds me, I have to sort it out today. Yep. Because in my first year of paying my tax, I actually got penalized because I filed my taxes wrongly. So if you need help, ask for help because you don't want to end up paying more or less. Then you get penalized, then you end up paying more. So yes. Nobody taught us how to file a freaking taxes. Did they teach us back in school? No, right? I think that's so freaking stupid. I'm sorry. They should have taught us in high school at least, Form 4, Form 5. At least we've got that basic knowledge. I didn't even know I'm supposed to file taxes until I got a letter. Like, what the hell? What kind of education system is that? Sorry, I'm not going to get into that. But yes, I'm going to tell you to file your taxes. Okay? But of course, I think you have to reach a certain amount of income yearly to file a tax. But either way, pretty sure you will have to file it eventually. Just start learning. Okay? Woo! Okay, last 5. So, this one is important. And it's something that I'm still learning. That is, insecurity will be a part of you. You can either let it eat you up or learn to be friends with it. So when I was younger, I was always so uncomfortable about being insecure. I mean, I still do. It's just that I no longer let it eat me up and, make me dysfunctional. I would go crazy and kind of like wallow in self-pity for days. Like, why am I like this? Why am I like that? But, that's not the best way to go about it. What I would used to do is like this. I would wallow in self-pity and I would not want to do anything for days. I don't even want to do anything about the insecurity that I was experiencing. And then one day I would just pretend nothing has happened. And I'm just going to move on like nothing has happened. And then the cycle continues. One day I'm going to be insecure again. So what I've changed really is that now I try to be more aware about why I'm feeling this way. Why am I having this thought? Why do I feel this way? And what I can do about it. And how I can make it different. Why, what, how? So actually processing my emotions and thoughts is also a skill that I picked up after I started going for therapy. I'm still not great at it. I mean, I'm a little bit all over the place sometimes, especially when I get extremely emotional, but at least I've got the skill now and I can apply it into my life. And it has helped me quite tremendously. Whew. Okay, the next point is not everyone has your best interest, even if they think they do. And this applies usually to family members. So, story time. I've got this person in my life who would always tell me things like, I'm doing this because I care for you. This is for your own good. You should listen to me because I'm your who and who. And let me tell you this. If I had listened to this person, I'm not going to name names because it's not worth it. I would have been in deep financial trouble for buying a house when I couldn't afford, just because that person wanted me to buy a house that she doesn't even live in, that I'm going to have to pay for. Because her reasoning is, why are you so stupid and pay rent when you can own your own home? I think that's a very common understanding or like belief amongst our older generation. They would think that, why are you so stupid? You should definitely own a house instead of paying rent, especially in KL. It's so expensive. Like if you pay a rent, you can definitely own your own home. But there's just so much to owning a home. It's not as simple as just buying it. And I think, yes, this episode will be out by the time I recently got my own home. And let me just tell you this, it's a lot of processes. It's not as simple. And it's a long commitment, 30 years at least. So yeah, don't think that everyone has your best interest just because they say they do. Yeah, it still annoys me, you know, like obviously I fought with the person and say, why are you forcing me to buy a home when I'm not ready? Don't do that. You know, it's been happening for many, many years. And which brings me to my next point. Don't take advices blindly. Because at the end of the day, nobody knows you better than yourself. At the end of the day, you are going to be the one who's living with the decision that you make, not that person. So take every advice, even if it's from me or this podcast or whatever podcast you listen to, take it with a pinch of salt and make your own judgment before applying it into your life. I mean, sometimes I still hear something like, oh my God, that's awesome. And then I would sometimes blindly apply it still. But, you know, hold your horses and think before you do. So, speaking of which, taking advices blindly, there was once when I first started out in this industry, I was trying to get jobs and get booked. I was told that the only way I can make it in the entertainment industry is that if I have fairer skin. I mean, what a How am I supposed to change that? I'm born with it, you know? Which means the person told me to inject skin whitening stuff that will whiten my skin and like apply whitening lotion. And had I taken that advice, I don't know what's going to happen to me, man. I really don't. And I'm just glad I didn't blindly listen to that person. Whew. Yeah, my 20s were a lot of making mistakes, taking blind advices sometimes. But yeah, we are down to our last few, guys, last three. Ooh, this is important, really. Don't spend money that you don't have. I used to be, I'm seeing Graham touching Jeremy. Jeremy, do you always spend money you don't have? Okay. So, I mean, I think it's just about, it's parts and parcel about being young, I feel. When I was younger, I was such a people pleaser. I would rather spend 200 ringgit on one dinner, one meal with a bunch of friends that are very cool and eat at fancy places and then starve for the rest of the week than to say no with hanging out with my friends. I mean, these guys have unlimited funds from their parents. But because I want to feel accepted, you know, and be part of that gang, I would rather spend so much money that I didn't have and then end up eating chap fan once a day for the next 5 days. And that LV bag that all your friends are having, if it's going to cost you your 6 months worth of salary, then honey, you cannot afford it right now, and that's okay. You know, the one thing that I'm very grateful for really though is that I didn't succumb into buying designer goods. At one point, it was such a hit, right? Like everyone in school was just holding an LV, a Chanel, a Gucci, or whatnot. I was from Monash, so there were quite a bit of rich kids there. So I felt a little bit pressured, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm quite grateful for my younger self for not succumbing, am I saying the right? Succumbing into buying designer goods. I mean, I want it. A part of me definitely feel like it's nice to have it, but I would not spend the money that I don't have. But I still spend money that I don't have lah when it comes to food and trying to hang out with people I want to hang out just so I feel cool, I feel accepted. Hi. But bottom line is, friends, don't spend the money that you don't have. It's not worth it. When you can finally afford it one day, it's going to be even more fulfilling. I can promise you that. And the time will come. Just work hard and set your eyes on the prize. Okay? Last two is, the second last one is save and invest your money. Yes, when you can, you save your money. I wish I knew more about investment when I was younger. But honestly, it's a whole other ballgame, especially right now with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and all that NFT, whatnot. It's going to take time for you to learn. So go easy with the investment. Don't be greedy. That's why I know. But if you don't if you don't invest, at least save your money. I'm quite grateful for my mom's money saving habits that I started in my late teenage years, because she always told me to save money whenever I can, and I did. And because of that habit, it trickled down over the years that I could finally invest in something. So thanks, Mom. And also, please invest in your insurance policy if you can. If you can. You don't need 10, but at least one for your medical or life. And make sure you pay them every month, because if you don't, it can lapse and it can get you into a lot of trouble when you finally need to claim your insurance. And last but not least, friends, we have come to the end of this episode. And I'm going to be here to remind you that everything happens for a reason. It's going to be different for everybody. Shit will happen. And it's for a reason. Pain and hurt and breakups may happen. You may have to go through it, maybe not, but it's all for a reason. But one day you're going to look back and think and smile about how far you've come. And then you will have stories to tell. And it's all parts and parcels of life. I'm just quite glad that all the shit that happened in my early 20s happened, because it's all these mistakes and learnings, life experiences that really shaped and molded me into the person that I am today. Of course, there are really more things that I wanted to include, but I can only do so much because of time constraint, and I don't want to bore you guys with just my voice. But now that I'm 30 and hopefully thriving, I can tell you this much. I really like myself now compared to when I was in my early 20s. When I was younger, I was definitely a little bit spineless, not very grounded, don't stick to my values. I would just, do what people want me to do. But now I definitely feel like I'm so much more grounded in myself and my values, and definitely a lot more confident in my decisions. And the way I speak as well, it does show. If you guys saw my videos when I was like 19, 20, gosh, I want to slap myself. But hey, it's part of growing, right? So yeah, very grateful with everything life has gifted me with, the good, the bad, and the in-between. I think the reason why I quite open about turning older, even though I know a lot of people don't, they kind of keep their age to themselves, because the older you get, the less attractive you are or whatnot, especially in this very cutthroat entertainment industry. I'm not going to lie. I was told that the older you are, the less wanted you will get. You will be replaced by younger girls. That's what's been ingrained in us. It's what's been told. That's exactly what some client would say. And I hope to be here to change that narrative. I don't want people to dread getting older, because that's something inevitable. I mean, how can you force me to stay 20 for the rest of my life or look 25 for the rest of my life? It's not going to happen. We are going to grow. We're going to change. So I hope by sharing this, maybe you can look forward to your 30th birthday someday, because it's not all that scary. And if all of us is able to embrace this together and celebrate each other's milestones together, then who are they to say we're not valuable? Who are they to say we're not attractive? You are very much so valuable and attractive in your own way, right? And also the truth is you don't have to have it all figured out. Really, all those checklists that you have that you need to do by the time you turn 30, throw that away. Really. But if you want to keep them, don't put a limit on yourself that you have to do this, by then, by 40, by 35. It's never too late to have a child. It's never, unless maybe you're 60 years old, let's be realistic. It's never too late to get married. It's never too late to get out or into a relationship. It's never too late to start a business. If you want to leave your job today, go ahead. If you're 35, you're 25, it really doesn't matter your age. So, with that, I want to say thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you managed to bring home takeaway or two. And yeah, I would love to hear from you. What are the things that you learned in your 20s? What are the things you wish you knew when you were younger? Or things that you want to learn and do better in? And maybe we'll do a part 2 of this. But until then, like I always say, don't forget to fall head over heels for yourself first and always. And if you're celebrating your birthday this year, happy birthday! Happy 30th! Okay? Don't be scared. It's not that scary. It's quite fun. Join the club. Bye, guys. See you next time.